Okay, well, we'll go ahead and call tonight's meeting to order, and if you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mayor Pape.
Here.
Councilmember Shavetta.
Here.
Councilmember Hands.
Here.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Here.
Councilmember Leahy.
Here.
Councilmember Neal. Councilmember Ryder.
Here.
Councilmember Silvers.
Here.
Councilmember Yodrich.
Here.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item up is public items. Members of the public are encouraged to use this time to make comments about matters that do not appear on the agenda. Comments about items on the regular agenda will be taken up as each item is considered. Please note, individuals making public comments are limited to 5 minutes. We did have a sign-up sheet that is currently empty, but that does not preclude anyone from coming forward at this time if anyone has any public comments to make. Okay, I see no one rushing to the podium, so I'm guessing we have no public comments. Well, we will close out the public comment section then. Next item is consent agenda. All items under this heading are considered to be routine by the City Council and may be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the council member so requests, in which case that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separate. Is there any council person who would like to have anything removed from consent agenda? I see no one raising their hands. I would entertain a motion. Mr. Reda.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to, make a motion to move that the council approve consent agenda items 1 through 5.
Okay, we have a motion. Have a second? Okay, Ms. Yandridge.
Mr. Mayor, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Shavetta.
Aye.
Councilmember Hands.
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Leahy.
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder.
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodrich.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Clerk. Looks like the next item up would be the mayor's report, and I get to read a couple proclamations, which I'm always glad to do. The first one is a proclamation about Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. So I will read it at this time. Whereas Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month is recognized each November as a time to bring understanding and response to the disease and to individuals and families affected by it. And whereas pancreatic cancer has the highest mortality rate of all major cancers and is the third leading cause of cancer-related deaths in the United States. And whereas it is estimated in 2023 that of more than 64,000 individuals diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, 55,550 people will die from the disease. And whereas the City of Merriam and other locations across the Kansas City metro region will light up purple to raise awareness for pancreatic cancer on November 16th, World Pancreatic Cancer Day, with purple being the designated color for pancreatic cancer. And whereas the good health and well-being of Merriam residents and the surrounding community are enhanced by increased awareness about the symptoms, risk, and research leading to the early detection, causes, and effective treatments for pancreatic cancer. Now, therefore, I, Bob Pape, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of Merriam, Kansas, do hereby proclaim November 16th as World Pancreatic Cancer Day and November 2023 as Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month, proclaimed on the 13th day of November 2023. So that has a special meaning to me since my sister passed away from pancreatic cancer at the age of 54. So when in doubt, get screened for that. My second proclamation is, I will read from it. Whereas the United States Supreme Court ruled the expansion of Medicaid, known as CannCare for the state of Kansas, is optional for states under the Affordable Care Act. And whereas the Johnson County Board of County Commissioners has supported CannCare expansion as part of its state legislative platform since 2014. And whereas CannCare expansion would provide health care insurance for an estimated 150,000 low-income Kansans and more than 7,930 low-income Johnson County residents, including Merriam residents, significantly reducing the number of uninsured individuals in the state, county, and city. And whereas the cost of the expansion would be further offset by savings in the provision of mental health services and of medical services delivered in the criminal justice system in Johnson County. And whereas it is estimated that Johnson County hospitals, including Advent Health Shining Mission in Merriam, lose more than $35 million annually for uncompensated care and would be eligible for reimbursement of CanCare if CanCare were expanded. Now, therefore, I, Bob Pape, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of Merriam, Kansas, do hereby proclaim my support of CanCare expansion in the state of Kansas, proclaimed on this 13th day of November, 2023. It could help a lot of people in Merriam and Johnson County and the state of Kansas if that was passed. Please reach out to your legislators and include them in that thought. Okay, well, let's see. I also have several other things. It's only like 3 pages today of stuff that we've been, well, it's actually 2. I was trying to make it easier on everyone. But these are things that I and the city council have attended since, and we did have a 3-week time frame since our last meeting, so it is a little bit longer tonight. But well, and if I miss anything, please let me know, because I don't attend everything, and I don't always know what the other council people are doing. I attended the Merriam PD Citizens Academy graduation ceremony. This is a great program, allows citizens to interact and see what police officers actually do and some of the quick decisions that they have to make. I encourage anyone that's not taken that academy to please do so the next time the department offers it. It's a great program. I've attended it. They really loved when they got to tase me. And I have not forgotten that, Chief, just for the record. But I, Mr. Engel, and council members Chavetta and Leahy attended the 5701 Merriam Drive Committee meeting. They had a chance to discuss a lot of they had went out and looked at a lot of different locations of things that other cities were doing throughout Kansas and throughout state, and kind of relatively local. But they had a chance at that meeting, and I wanted to sit in and see what they had found out and what they liked and disliked about all those other places that they met. It was great. We appreciate everything that the council people are doing to sit in and represent us on that committee. We also, Mr. Engel brought this up to the committee itself, that in light of everything that's going on with the Corps of Engineers, the thought was that possibly that committee might morph into maybe a downtown Merriam committee, whereas they could look at everything that was going on in downtown, not just with the emphasis obviously on 5701, but we'll see how that turns out and whether that group and will definitely be a part of that, and then maybe expanded to include some other people when we get to that stage. But right now we're kind of holding off to see what's going to happen with the Corps of Engineers. Council members Hands, Hands, Silvers, Caldwell, and Leahy attended the City Public Works Luncheon. There was some really great barbecue that was actually prepared by Randy Fine and Caleb Hunt were the 2 individuals down there that made the barbecue, and big thanks go out to them, and hopefully you ever get a chance to be invited over to their house for dinner, take them up on it if they cook and barbecue that night. We also, one of the big things that occurred that evening was that our city employees and the public itself, we were involved in this, but there was a fundraising for the Cancer Society, and it's my understanding, I don't want to get this number wrong, but was over $4,000 raised. Okay, so over $4,000 were raised, and I think we were only planning on trying to raise $700 or something. But the reason that grew so much was that the Superintendent Fine had actually offered to cut off his hair, his mullet, if enough money was raised, and there was a fund for him to cut it off and a fund for him to save it. Well, in his ingeniousness, he held out some money at the end and saved his mullet. So, I thought that was pretty good that he did that. I'm not sure who gave him that idea, but at the very end, it was neck and neck, and the hair did survive. But anyway, that was a real nice gesture for Superintendent Fine to do that. and the fact that it raised over 5 times what we thought we were going to raise because of that. So next year, I understand Mr. Engel might get a buzz cut. If is that I don't know if it was a buzz cut, but we'll see what. There is no commitment yet. Okay, okay. So that was one of the things we did. Okay, I attended the Johnson County, Wyandotte County Mayor's meeting, which was held in Leawood City Hall. Mayor Dunn hosted that meeting, and as many of you probably know, Mayor Dunn did not seek re-election, so she will not be mayor after 20-some years of serving over there. There is going to be a reception in her honor. If anybody wants to know when that is, see me after the meeting. I don't know if they want that publicly broadcast, but I'm sure she'd be glad to see you if you know her. I and numerous police officers attended the funeral of a Merriam retired police sergeant, Bob Smith. We affectionately referred to Bob, or Sergeant Smith, as Too Tall because of his stature. I think he was like 6'6", 6'7", so he was tall. He was too tall. That's why we called him that. But he served our community, and I don't know, Chief, you remember exact years, over 20 years, I know. He was... Okay, so for, excess of 20 years, and he would be missed but not forgotten. Real good ceremony. I got to attend the opening night of the Tim Murphy Art Gallery. Good food, good fellowship, good art. It's always a winning combination. And then, as many know, I'm a member of the Johnson County Kiwanis Club, and I attended our monthly meeting. It's a busy time, so we're going to take various projects for the community. Salvation Army bell ring is going to be going on this coming up shortly, and working at the Christmas Bureau, which are two of the things that I'll be involved in as well with those. And Miss Hands and I met with Mr. Engel to put on our council agenda this evening, and I was privileged to assist Ms. Gard in honoring all of our veterans that work for the city of Merriam. This is in honor of Veterans Day. And unbeknownst to me, we have 13 employees that were all veterans and who served our nation in the armed services, various well, I don't know if I can remember. I know Army and the Marines and I'm not sure, and the Navy. I don't know if there were other divisions or not as well, but anyway, they not only represented our nation and protected us, but now they're part of Team Merriam. And one of the things is the first time we've done this year is that all those individuals were given a hat that says Team Merriam on it and also says veteran on it. And I thought that was a good gesture for whoever came up with that idea, and was glad to be a part of that. I also attended an appreciation reception for Eric Alvarez Realty, which they had invited me to down at the community center. They had great food, and I got to meet a lot of good people down there as well. And I was supposed to say, if you need a realtor, be sure to look him up. So anyway, is there anything else any of the council did that I missed? I apologize if I didn't. But. Okay, so, and I do that for a reason, because the council does a lot more than just attend 2 meetings a month, and that's why I try to at least give them credit for that. Okay, well, let's see what's next on the agenda here after the mayor's report. It looks like the next items up are approval of a memorandum of understanding. Looks like we have Director Slocum at the podium.
Good evening. Oh, sorry. You ready?
You're up.
Sorry. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you this evening is an item for you to consider the memorandum of understanding, easy for me to say, for us, for the city of Merriam to assume leadership of the Flags for Freedom annual event. Just as a little history, this event started in 2006 by an enthusiastic group of local volunteers, and it was called the Healing Field. And it has grown into what we know today as Flags for Freedom. This event was, through the years, supported by the Merriam Parks Recreation and Community Center Foundation. The volunteer-supported event has gradually sought city assistance throughout the years. Primarily beginning in 2016, we have stepped in as the Parks Department to help with various tasks to help the event remain strong. Day of event assistance remains strong. So when they call for volunteers, that is not the issue. The problem has started with logistics of planning the event, and that's fallen on fewer and fewer volunteers throughout the years. The foundation feels they're no longer able to keep the event to the level that they would like to see it sustained, and have asked for our assistance. There were a couple of meetings with just the foundation and staff in May and July of this year. And that you may recall that in August, there was a joint session between City Council, the foundation, and city staff so that we could better understand the expectations moving forward if the city were to take over the leadership role. After that meeting, city staff met with the foundation to kind of better understand and work out the MOU that's before you this evening. And just to highlight a few of the items in the MOU before you, there's really 5 bullet points associated with that. The city will accept the inventory of the Flags for Freedom Committee at no cost. We will just take that on. As part of that, there will be 4 groups that are today currently utilizing the flags for various displays. The foundation asks that we continue that partnership with those organizations because one of them is the flag field to veterans that happens at Merriam Town Center. The one change in the MOU that was brought to my attention is one of the groups is not listed correctly. So we have an updated version for Julie tonight. It's not Heart of America, it's Heart of America Patriot Foundation. So that was asked that I corrected that. So there has been that amendment to that MOU. Another one was that because there will be lost revenue for the foundation, that the city donate $2,500 annually to the foundation. And we will establish the city will establish a volunteer committee to help us plan and move forward. Staff is prepared tomorrow to send an email to the existing committee members with the volunteer application. It's ready to go. And then we'll also promote that throughout the city as well to potentially recruit new committee members to help with the planning of that event. And then we'll continue to utilize, obviously, the community to support the install and takedown of the flags like we do currently. So that is what is before you tonight for your consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Director Slocum? Okay, I see. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Mr. Silvers.
I actually don't have a question, I just have a request.
Okay.
So I believe that Flags for Freedom is a wonderful tradition here in Merriam. I would like to have future discussions with the city and council to discuss moving the blue line flags to be placed in front of the police station where I think they better honor the people that they represent.
All right, we will add that to a topic of conversation when the committee is established, that be a request, and we'll go from there.
I wanted to second on what Jason said, because I think it'd be nice if the committee, now that the city's taking it over, if we put together some guidelines on if we're going to fly flags other than just the red, white, and blue American flag, that we have a written policy about what other flags we'll fly and where we'll fly them.
Third.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing no other discussion, I would entertain a motion. Okay, Ms. Hands.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the council approve the memorandum of understanding to assume leadership of the Flags for Freedom annual event and to authorize you to sign the agreement.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Yeah, Mr. Go, Ms. Sorry.
Let's go back in time, and you can live in that time.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Hands.
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Leahy.
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder.
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodridge.
Aye.
Councilmember Shavetta.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, next item up. Looks like Director Slocum is on for this one, too.
It's me. It's the Anna show for a minute. All right. So now that we've assumed responsibility of Flags for Freedom, there is a financial piece to that puzzle that we need to address, and that's what I'm standing here before you now to ask. There are budget adjustments needed. We did not plan to take this on when we were doing the 2024 That sounds odd to say out loud. The 2024 budget, this was nowhere on our radar at that time. So in order for this event to continue to be successful, I'm standing here tonight asking for funding for that event. There are actually two pieces to this puzzle of funding. One is at the close of the 2023 event, we did a very detailed inventory of the flags. It had been several years since that had been done, and there were quite a few of the street flags that, because Public Works puts them up and puts them down, someone on the committee hadn't necessarily seen. And so I took that upon myself to walk with Public Works and inventory them, knowing that it's our responsibility that those flags stay in good condition. In doing so, in addition to the flags that were off of poles that the volunteers had done in the flag fields, there are approximately 800 flags that need to be replaced. In order to give us enough time to man that project of putting those flags on the poles, first of all, placing the order and hoping that the American flags that are American-made can be purchased and acquired. I don't know how many we can order at one time. It's a local company that does that. We need to plan for that. So that's approximately $14,500 to replace those flags and put a couple aside, because every year, no matter how well we plan for that, flags get destroyed. Just wind and weather is brutal on them. So that's the first piece of the puzzle of the budget adjustment, is that in 2023, we will get $14,500 to replace those flags. The second piece of this puzzle is for the 2024 budget. We need $2,500. That's what Flags for Freedom has budgeted throughout the year to plan and put on their event. And then we'd also need the $2,500 for their donation that we just outlined in the MOU. So there's a 2024 budget adjustment that needs to occur in the amount of $5,000. So there was a 2023, 2024 budget adjustment, and the Director of Finance, and working with her, she recommends that all of this happen out of the transient guest contingency funding. So that is what we're asking for this evening with this budget adjustment. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Director Slocum concerning the budget adjustment?
I have a
Okay,
quick,
go ahead,
sorry,
Ms.
I have a
Shredder.
quick question. Are we going to budget for replacement for like every year? Did you mention that? And
I
I
did
missed
not,
it?
but
Okay.
we will. So moving forward, we figure we'll plan about $6,500 every year, $2,500 for the event, $2,500 for the donation, and about $1,500 for replacement. Recognizing that we will still seek sponsorship, and we will also receive donations from the people that the four groups that are using, and that will also go into like a revenue account like we do when we take sponsorships that will help offset these costs.
Cool. Thank you.
Question? No other questions? I would entertain a motion. Ms. Hands.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that the council approve a budget adjustment for fiscal year 2023 in the amount of $14,500, and in fiscal year 2024 in the amount of $5,000 to facilitate the annual Flags for Freedom event.
Okay, we have a motion. Ms. Yadrich, would you like to second that?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to second that motion.
We have a motion, a second. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Leahy. Councilmember Ryder.
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodrich.
Aye.
Councilmember Shavetta.
Aye.
Councilmember Hands.
I'm definitely voting aye, and I just want to thank the Foundation and Flags for Freedom members who have come tonight to watch over this transfer. Thank you very much.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Yes, they have been involved in that for many, many years, and I'm sure will continue to be involved for many more. So we appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, next item up, I believe, is consider approval of a purchase of real estate property. Looks like Mr. Ingles heading to the podium.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, Council. Good evening. The item before you at this point in time on the agenda is the approval of a real estate contract for property located at 5713 Kessler Lane. This is property that's located in historic downtown Merriam on the northeast corner of the 5701 property, literally just right around the corner from the church property that we purchased early last year. It was previously known as the HMK Concrete and Foundation Company, owned by Harvey Cash. Is currently owned by a trust in the name of Harvey Cash and Elizabeth Cash. Mr. Cash passed away earlier this year, and that property went onto the market and went on the market in October for a price of $400,000. We had some conversation about the value of purchasing that property for a variety of reasons. Here is the street view. So 5701 would be right behind us at this angle. This is the aerial. As you can see, it's highly visible from I-35. Lots of stuff going on that property and in that property that will no longer be going on, we would assume, regardless of if the city decides to purchase it or not. But this is the current state of the property. Again, it is a longtime concrete and foundation business downtown, but it has a residential property on it, as you can see from the street view. Some of the reasons that we discussed the value of this particular property would be there's the possibility that there's a street alignment that could be a part of the creek project. There's a street alignment that's projected in 2040 that's also directly related to the creek. There's also just the proactive approach that we are trying to take with the properties downtown as downtown starts to perhaps reinvent itself, it starts to expand. Again, the adjacency of this property to 5701 makes this a high value target from a staff perspective in terms of being downtown. After lots of conversation about this particular property, I think the number one key point of agreement was simply that in order for us to ensure the highest and best use of this property in the long term for the community, the city should acquire it. In negotiation through a third party with the owners, we were able to take the initial ask of $400,000 down to $250,000, which we felt pretty good about, plus broker fees. So we had our third party attorneys work up a real estate contract agreement, which is in the packet in front of you right now for consideration. Again, staff is highly recommending that we acquire this purchase so, again, we can make sure that we can guide the future development of downtown and or with this property being part of it or not being part of it. But again, us having control over it gives us a measure of certainty of what it may or may not become, more importantly. Happy to answer any questions about that. Again, you have the contract in front of you. We've got some photos of it. I guess if there were questions you may want to ask, there's going to be quite a bit of that stuff left on the property. So similar to the church, we will clean out what we can. We will figure out if we can use some of it, if we can salvage some of it, and then we will likely come back at some point in time with a decision on what we should do with the home. We don't exactly know what the state of the inside of the home is in terms of can it be a business, does the roof leak? We haven't been in it enough to know that. It's been a business, it's an office, so I mean it's functional as a building, but it has no use that the city would have, similar to the church. So we may just sit on it like the church. We also may make a recommendation that let's clear it. But we don't have that decision right at this point in time.
Any questions for Mr. Engel concerning this property? I guess you explained it well. Okay. I would entertain a motion to take some sort of action on this. Ms. Shondridge.
Mr. Mayor, I recommend approval of a real estate contract for the purchase of 5713 Kessler Lane in an amount not to exceed $300,000.
Okay, we have a motion. I have a second.
And I'll second that.
Ms. Hand seconds. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Leahy.
Aye.
Excuse me. Councilmember Ryder.
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodridge.
Aye.
Councilmember Shavetta.
Aye.
Councilmember Hands.
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor.
Are you leaving or? approval of a contract with Central Industrial Sheet Metal Works.
Turn that over to our
turn-
Public Works Director, but
You'll be close.
I'll be
Okay.
close.
He'll bail
Thank
me
you.
out if I need to.
Okay, I wasn't sure who was handling it. Thank you.
In April 2022, a contract was approved with Paratrave Innovations for Phase 1 exterior improvements to City Hall. There are a number of improvements made, including installation of perforated metal panels to the concrete site walls out front and a new aluminum sunshade system. And those items were completed. Unfortunately, the perforated metal panels and the sunshade were not completed to our city standards. And our city attorney is currently working with Paratrave's attorney to try to come to some settlement or negotiation on this. Right now, our primary objective is to get this work completed, and then we'll go back and, we've been talking with them all along, but we'll try to finalize that and figure out, a negotiation, a settlement. We obtained a bid from Central Industrial Sheet Metal Works to remove the 4 existing aluminum panel screens and refabricate them so that the panels are seamless. So here's our example. They'll remove the existing perforated metal, and then they're going to put a seamless joint around each of these panels, and then they'll color it to match the existing finish. So we did check references, and they were satisfactory, and we're currently working on a solution for the sunshade system. But we'd like to go ahead and have you consider approval of the rework of these metal panels tonight. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, we have any questions for Director Kumke? Okay, go ahead, Ms. Shveta.
I just have one quick question. So are we looking at the same company for the sunshade, like fix replacement too? So would
Yes.
they potentially give us some sort of discount, or like, are we going to have to pay for 2 mobilizations?
Well, they gave us a bid for the sunshades, but when they got up and looked inside about how it's installed, they need to go back and rework that. So it's the same company, but they need to do a little more work to complete it.
Cool. Thank you.
Any other questions for Director Kumke? Go ahead, Ms. Haynes.
So I do. So the frame that you showed us, now it goes the whole length, and then that just has the framing around the whole thing? Or are there
There'll be panels, and they'll connect to these panels. So there'll be a joint
It'll
in
be
between.
frame.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Just, well, that doesn't do anything for me. I'm sorry.
We're sorry to hear
It's
that.
not a good enough picture.
Any other questions for Director Kumke before I entertain a motion? Okay, I see no other questions at this point. I would entertain a motion. Ms. Haynes.
I definitely want to make this motion because, boy, would I like for that to be done. Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve a contract with Central Industrial Sheet Metal Works Incorporated for the rework of the perforated metal panels on the exterior of City Hall.
Okay, we have a motion. Ms. Shveta, is that a second? I see.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'll second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second.
Councilmember Ryder.
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodridge.
Aye.
Councilmember Shavetta.
Aye.
Councilmember Hands.
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Leahy.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, thank you, Director Kumke. Okay, and other items up, I guess, would be the CIP update.
So it's short and sweet tonight.
and sweet, okay.
You've seen this project come up a number of times, but hopefully we're almost finished. Sod was reinstalled on October 31st, so next Monday will be the 20-day time period. We'll go out there and inspect it, and if it still looks like it's growing, then we'll approve the sod and the project will be complete. Our 50th Terrace England to Kessler Drainage Project. We've been working on the plans for this. We've gone out and met with a couple residents. They had some concerns with runoff coming down the hill and going through their backyard, so we've kind of revised the plans. We should get those back later on this month, and then we'll need to go out and meet with each resident. We're going to need some easements. There are some existing ones, but there's some trees and some sheds in the way, so we're going to have to negotiate with them and work on land acquisition. And then we will hopefully bid this project in the spring.
And our mill and overlay project is completed. You did approve the final payment tonight on the consent agenda, so we should be good with that project, as well as our 2023 sidewalk replacement project. And that is all I have for tonight. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions for Director Gumke? I see no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Informational items, we have the 5701 committee minutes. Assume if there have any questions, we have people that could answer that, but, and then we also have the Park and Recreation Advisory Board minutes that were in our packets. Unless anybody has any questions, Director Slocum, we'll consider that they didn't raise any questions. So, all right, I think we're good on that. Mr. English, is there anything else from staff that we need to discuss before I assume we're having a meeting after this meeting?
I do have 3 items, Mayor. Yeah, the first one is that we just found out this evening, or earlier late this afternoon, that the library has announced they will be closing on January 29th. They have indicated in the past that they would be closing the current library 2 months in advance of when they plan on opening the new one. So they have not announced a date to open the new one, but you have a date to open the new one? Oh, okay, yeah. And so that is exciting news. Unfortunately, we'll have the library closed for a couple months, but it means that we're rocking and rolling on construction, and we will be having a new library opened here somewhere we would anticipate in the spring. So we're excited about that. I don't know if you have any top secret stuff that we should turn the camera off you can share with the council? Okay, well, good. Well, thanks for being here. The survey topic, so every 3 years, we do a citizen satisfaction survey as well as a business survey. We have 1 page out of the 28 pages that we send out that we can customize and put our own questions for consistency's sake, for year over year, for measuring progress on all of our services. We lock in the majority of all of the questions. They are the same year over year over year, but we do have 1 page where we can ask something specifically. If there's something that the council thinks is burning that we would like to ask our residents about, this will be a scientifically, what's the word I'm looking for? Valid, yes, statistically valid is the word I'm looking for. Statistically valid survey that will go to our residents. So if there's something, please reach out to Caitlin and share with her any topics. You don't have to have a fully formed question if it's just kind of an idea. ETC will help us make sure that it's framed the correct way. Regardless of if we hear anything from council or not, we will send you a list of questions we've come up with in the next couple weeks, and we'll chew on those and see if we can't narrow those down to some meaningful questions to get some good feedback from our residents. Last one, I will be out Thursday and Friday. My daughter's volleyball team won conference and is #1 in the postseason tournament, so I will be out of the office to watch her play volleyball. So, but I will be available by phone as always. Happy to answer any questions any of you may have.
Any questions for Mr. Engel? Go ahead, Ms.
I
Haynes.
have one question. Are you and or the team going to be meeting with the Corps of Engineers anytime soon?
We were supposed to meet November 16th. Great question. That has been delayed. There is some issues that they are having with obtaining updated rain data to feed into the models. So they have models of some potential creek solutions, things to remedy the potential flooding. What they don't have is they don't have rain data to plug into those models to see if those models work. So we are working through getting them good rain data. But again, we've got a variety of partners and agencies that all play in this, and so we don't anticipate, unfortunately, having anything till after the first of the year at this point. So it's probably going to be January, February.
Well, because I want to be sure that our team is fully equipped, has the best tools. On the same day, you mentioned to me that the engineers were going to be putting their slide rule to effect.
Could you come forward, Mr. Engel? I think she has a presentation for you.
We were collecting those. I have one too.
On the same day you mentioned this, yes, on the same day you mentioned this to me, a friend called and said he'd hit the jackpot, and there are many. But what is really cool is you can put it on your belt. And there are instructions.
And you'll be able to check their numbers to make sure that what they're, that they're correct. Straight, yeah.
You're very welcome. But it's for the whole team.
Yeah. Please share. I'm glad it has the directions with it.
I'm glad it hangs from my belt. That's even cooler.
Maybe get one of those pocket things too to put in your pocket as well.
Exactly. Show up on the work site with one of these. Somebody, yeah. Right, exactly. Thank you very much.
Any other questions for Mr. Engel? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please. Please go forward.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Amy Barclay. I am the branch manager of, I'm a little bit taller, so I need to put this up. Branch manager of the Antioch Library, and I will be the branch manager of the Merriam Plaza Library. I did want to clarify with the point that Mr. Engel brought up about our closure date to share that the board voted on closing at the end of business on the 28th. So the 29th will be the first day we're officially closed, just to make sure that's very, very clear for confusion. Also, if you have community members that ask about library services during that period of time that we will be closed until we open the new building, communication will be coming out to our patrons soon to share that information about what will happen to their holds, which everyone wants to know how they pick up their materials when the library is not closed or not open, and where they'll be directed and what it will look like to drop off materials and how to do things like that. So information will be coming soon. Just wanted to share that as well. I don't know if that was big news, but exciting.
We appreciate
It is
it. And before you leave, are there any questions for Ms. Barclay?
Were you just trying to get away from doing Kansas Day celebrations?
Oh man, that is a tough topic, isn't it? we will celebrate from where we are being temporarily housed. And also a reminder that we have created a wonderful partnership with the Merriam Community Center to still offer some of our programming during that period of time that we're closed. So we will have story times available as well as a kids program so that we're still offering access to our services to the community during that time. So we're very thankful to the Merriam Community Center for offering that for us.
Great. Well, we like to cooperatively work with you. We see we have the art project. The art is up on the side of the building as well, too. So
It is, and our artist is working furiously to complete the mural on the inside of our meeting room. I know that a few of you have had the opportunity to be on tours. You may have even met our artist. And there are still opportunities for VIP tours if you haven't had that opportunity. So please feel free to reach out if you would still like to do that. It changes more and more every single day. Even if you can't see it from the outside, there's still a lot of activity going on the inside. We're excited to open.
okay. Any questions? Okay, thank you for sharing, Ms. Barclay.
Thank you.
Okay, if you have nothing else, Mr. Engel, are we going to
Adjourn this meeting.
adjourn
and we
this
just
meeting
have
and
a
then you have a work
budget
session? We're gonna,
budget work session upstairs.
and that'll be upstairs? Okay. Budget work session following this meeting upstairs. I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Go
I
ahead.
move we adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Chadrich.
Mr. Mayor, I second.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
All in favor?
Hi.
Meeting's adjourned.